For 3 decades, Mark Reynolds believed he had built something unshakable with his wife, Linda. They'd met when they were young, built a home from the ground up, raised 2 children, and survived trials that would have torn other couples apart. To everyone who knew them, Mark and Linda were the picture of commitment, the couple people pointed to when they talked about lasting love. Mark worked as a high school teacher. Linda sold houses. They weren't wealthy, but they had comfort, laughter, and a long, shared history. At least, that's what Mark had always believed. Because sometimes, the deepest fractures in a life don't show until the light shifts. And one late afternoon, that light changed everything. It was an ordinary Tuesday when it began. School had ended early, so Mark came home ahead of schedule. Linda was supposed to be out meeting clients, yet her car sat in the driveway. He called her name as he stepped inside. No answer. The house felt unusually still. Assuming she was working in her office, he headed that way, and that's when he noticed her laptop sitting open on the kitchen counter. Linda never left it unattended. Curiosity, mixed with a creeping unease, drew him closer. Her email was open. At the top of her inbox was a long message thread titled "Our secret stays safe." His stomach tightened as he clicked it open. The first message froze him. It was from David, Linda's college boyfriend, a name that hadn't come up in decades. The email was dated just 2 days earlier. "I can't believe you kept all the letters after all these years." Reading them again felt like time stopped. "I miss us, Linda. I always have." Mark's pulse raced as he scrolled. The thread went back years, more than a decade, hidden behind an alias account. They'd reconnected 15 years ago, just after their daughter had left for college. What began as a few friendly exchanges had turned into something far deeper, a secret relationship that had lived in the shadows of Mark's marriage ever since. There were photos, too, snapshots of Linda and David together in various places. A beach, a coffee shop, a hotel room selfie from a business trip to San Diego. Each image cut deeper than the last. Mark's breathing grew shallow. Every anniversary dinner, every laugh, every "I love you" now seemed to echo with a different meaning, not warmth, but deceit. He kept scrolling until he reached a draft of a letter Linda had written to David but never sent. "I'll never leave Mark, but you'll always have my heart. What we have is real, even if it stays hidden." Mark stared at the words for a long time before closing the laptop. 30 years of shared life. The milestones, the quiet nights, the family photos, the small daily gestures, all of it suddenly felt hollow. It wasn't the affair itself that shattered him. It was the realization that, for half his life, he'd been standing in the space meant for someone else. He was the man she lived beside, not the man she loved. He looked around the kitchen, the pictures of their smiling family, the scribbled notes on the fridge, the details that once spoke of affection, and now, they felt like stage props from a play he hadn't known he was in. He didn't shout. He didn't break down. He just stood there, breathing in the heavy quiet. When Linda came home 15 minutes later, cheerful and carrying a grocery bag, her smile faded the moment she saw his face. "Mark?" she asked carefully. He didn't answer. He only turned the laptop toward her. Her expression drained of color. The bag slipped from her fingers as she whispered, "I can explain." His voice, calm but edged with years of buried pain, finally broke the silence. "Don't. It's been 30 years, Linda. If honesty didn't matter back then, it doesn't matter now." She reached for him, trembling. "Mark, please, it's not what it looks like. I needed to feel something again. We were drifting, Anne." He cut her off. "No, Linda. You let us drift. You let me build a life on lies because it was easier than facing what would become." His voice cracked, but he didn't stop. "You had 3 decades to tell me the truth. You chose not to. So now I'm choosing to walk away." He picked up his coat and keys, and with quiet finality, left the house they had once bought together with so much hope. He didn't slam the door. He didn't look back. He drove aimlessly, just wanting air that didn't carry the scent of betrayal. Eventually, he parked near the old playground where they used to bring the kids. Sitting alone on a bench, he realized something simple but profound. Love wasn't meant to be endurance. It was meant to be honesty. And for 30 years, he'd been enduring, not living. His phone vibrated. Messages from Linda, one after another. Apologies. Explanations. Desperate pleas. He didn't open any of them. He turned the phone off and let silence speak for him. The next morning, he called his son. He told him everything. Told him he would be okay, he just needed time. There was a pause before his son replied softly. Dad, you always said truth matters more than comfort. I guess Mom forgot that. Mark felt tears slide down his face, not from heartbreak, but from release. For the first time in decades, he wasn't pretending. Weeks passed. Linda sent letters to his new apartment. The last one ended with, "If you ever find it in your heart to forgive me, I'll be here." He read it once, folded it neatly, and tucked it away, not to erase the past, but to remember what love looks like when it loses its honesty. Years later, when friends asked why he never remarried, Mark would smile gently and say, "Because peace feels better than pretending." And that was the truth he finally chose to live. He hadn't walked out to destroy a marriage, he'd walked out to reclaim himself.